Well, welcome to our webinar, which is yet another release of Calaveras County doing things right according to the state's guidelines. And thank you so much for those of you that are attending live. I see you coming in here, and because of our size today, I think it makes sense. If you want to participate in the conversation, please feel free to raise your hand. I'll bring you in. If you would rather just participate in Q&A and write it in the Q&A, please feel free. But with that being said, welcome to our Understanding the Blueprint for a Safer Economy on behalf of what Governor Newsom released last week in regards to how we are now monitoring our safety in California. And I'll probably have Kristen give a little bit more update than that, but just wanted to introduce myself briefly. My name is Morgan. I am with the Calaveras Chamber of Commerce, and it's a pleasure to work with these lovely ladies here that I am going to have introduce themselves. So Lisa, over to you.
Oh, hello everybody. My name is Lisa Medina, and I'm the current interim Environmental Management Agency Administrator, also the Air Pollution Control District Officer and Environmental Health Director.
Thanks for being here, Lisa.
You
Kathy,
bet.
I'm gonna hop down over to you.
Hi, I'm Kathy Galino. I'm the Calaveras County Economic and Community Development Director, and I work with these wonderful people.
Thanks, Kathy.
Back to you.
And last but not least.
Hi, I'm Kristen Stranger. I'm with the Health and Human Services Agency, which includes the Public Health Division, and I serve as the director of that team.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for participating. Really, our goal, as all of our unpacking webinars that we've brought to you in Calaveras County, have been in an effort to help clarify and maybe help troubleshoot some of the issues that you're encountering as we try and abide by the new state guidelines. And before I have Kristen go into and explain what the heck is this color thing and who are we, I would just like to say that based on my observance so far, this is much simpler to understand than previous guidance. And so that part is something that we can look forward to. So Kristen, I'm gonna have you take it away and kind of share with us, how is it we're here? What did the governor roll out? And what does this mean for us in Calaveras County?
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So I believe most of our state has become very familiar with the concept of the monitoring list. Monitoring list, when counties go on or off the monitoring list, it had implications in terms of how businesses and what businesses could open, what sectors could open, and how those sectors had to operate. So we have moved as a state from the monitoring list to this concept of a tiered system. And so now you're going to become much more familiar with this concept of purple, red, orange, and yellow. And then and those also follow the most restrictive to the least restrictive types of tiers. So this is something that went into the state as a whole became knowledgeable of this last Friday. I believe the governor, it was one Friday ago, the governor made during his afternoon announcements information known about this new tiered system and what it meant and such. And then that afternoon, we also all had access to the various tiers. And I agree with Morgan in terms of navigating as a general community member. I'm able to find a lot easier what's open and what's not, and how that is the modifications that sector should be operating within. So we are now in what's called a tiered system, and I'll just take you through a really great little write-up that I think kind of synopsizes it well. Just hold on for 1 second. So every county in California is assigned to a tier based on its test positivity and adjusted case rate. So that's the first modification. Prior on the monitoring list, we had a number of other factors that we were evaluated on in addition to test positivity and case rate, such as hospitalizations, such as testing, the amounts of tests that we were doing, those types of things. So we have modified to a smaller number of metrics that we're evaluated on as it pertains to what tier we're in. At a minimum, counties must remain in a tier for 3 weeks before moving forward. data is reviewed weekly and tiers are updated on Tuesdays. So we as the county will likely get that information not much more in advance, if at all in advance, from the rest of the public. And that will let us know where our data has been tracking, if it's been tracking at the widespread level, which is purple, substantial, which is red, moderate, or minimal in terms of level of restriction. And then to move forward, a county must meet the next tier's criteria for 2 consecutive weeks. So basically, those weekly updates of data don't necessarily, or excuse me, that weekly update of data and that weekly delineation of, oh, this is where you're at, widespread or substantial, you have to, it's a slower process, right? It has, after you reach a tier, you have to remain in that tier for a certain amount of time before being able to advance. And the same thing goes for moving to a more restrictive tier as well, right? So it goes both ways, where there's this time lapse, and that is part of the tier structure. If the county's metrics worsen for 2 consecutive weeks, it can be assigned to more restrictive tiers. So again, kind of just speaking to the fact that when a county is assigned and when a county moves into a tier, there's going to be a certain amount of time. It's not going to be updated every single week. You're going to see this substantial movement on or off, or up or down now, not on or off because it's up or down. So that's important to know. I do think that everybody could, and I'll put it in the chat box, you can familiarize yourself with the this one website. It's actually really easy to use. You plug in the county that we're in, which in our case, Calaveras. You can see what tier we're assigned at the current moment. It's all updated. We're currently in red, or substantial, which is the second highest to the most restrictive. And so when you scroll through it, you can see each individual sector that has the various modifications that must be put into place. Other than that, I'm still even familiarizing myself with this. I got really knowledgeable about the monitoring list, and now I'm relearning a new system. So the Public Health Department remains committed to making sure that we get any questions that community members come across, getting those answered and making them available so that we could all do our very best to, together as a community, advance to the orange and to the yellow. That's our ultimate goal.
Yellow is good. We want yellow. Thanks, Kristen. Kathy, can you give us a little bit of an orientation on what we could be looking at and show us, dissect a little bit about what Kristen was just sharing with us?
Absolutely. So I put in the chat box the website that you need to go to for the safer economy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share screen so we can actually move there. And it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, dang. I guess that's me, huh?
But I actually really do like the new website a lot better. I think it's a lot more straightforward. It has a lot more of the various industry sectors. So it's not just one big umbrella. It's actually broken down into smaller bite-sized pieces. So let's hop over to it. So this is the new blueprint for a safer economy. And what you do is you just simply go here and type in Calaveras. And of course, we come up right away. As Kristen mentioned, we are currently in the substantial category. And if you want more information on that, you can click this hyperlink here, and it gives you the statewide metrics. And then you can go to Calaveras. There we go. And then this gives you, the case rate, the positivity rate, the color scheme, and you can see over time. So the data that's in here is from August 11th and August 18th. So, and you can see up here, widespread is the purple, which is the most restrictive, then substantial, where we currently are, moderate, and then minimal. So if you go back up here, Calaveras. There is very specific guidance and information on the various industries, whether you're appliance repair, bars which are closed, body waxing studios, bookstores, very, very detailed. So clothing stores, retailers, they're currently under this hierarchy or this tier. They're open with modifications, a maximum of 50%. What's nice is rather than having to bounce around to a bunch of different places, you can simply click here and it gives you the details on how you can reopen your business really quickly and safely. So it takes you through all the various CDP. Oh, this is actually a really good link too. The Cdph Guidelines, which is the California Department of Public Health. Gives you employer policies and resources. It's all really easy to find. And then again, it'll go down to, and actually I thought it linked directly to the actual guidance. Pardon me. So we're going to go look at retail. The first is the widespread. The next one is substantial, where we currently are. So it talks about retail capacity, opening modifications, the guidance, which is, and this should be familiar to most businesses, this is what came out originally as your guidance document back in July. Oops, come back. And then also your checklist. And I think many, if not all of the businesses that are on here today are very familiar with the checklist. It really helps you set up your precautions, keeping your employees safe, keeping your customers safe, topics for training. This is all very, very much the same as it was before. But what I want to show, let me go back to here, is a really neat link. Let me stop. Let me stop sharing. And I'm going to go to the other website, which is a really nice, it's 5 pages. You can print it out, put it up on the wall, and you can understand very quickly where you are, what you need to be doing. There it is.
While you're looking for that, Kathy, Kristen, can you share a little bit, going back to what you were talking about previously, you know, where we're at right now is not necessarily where we're going to be a week from now, 2 weeks from now. A lot can change, and the colors are fluid, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And so you shared a little bit about the timeline, about how it takes some time. But let's say worst case scenario, that we continue to do poorly, and the next step would mean that we transition to purple. How fast does that happen? So from the moment that it's announced, like for example, when Governor Newsom released it, we had a little bit of a time period before it officially started. So what does that look like from the county perspective for our businesses? And then you mentioned a holding pattern. So how long is that holding pattern be? If we keep it as the same or get better, how long is it until we can change colors?
Okay, so since it started last Monday, right? If let's just say we had purple levels of data that happened this coming Tuesday, that would be week 1. We had another level, which was also purple the following week of data, and that's where our data left at, that would be week 2. So if that would have us immediately, or not immediately, that would have us go into the purple tier, right? Which is the tier that is the more restrictive one you were just speaking about. And then we would have to remain in that tier for a minimum of 21 days. So in order to, before we had the ability to advance back down to the red tier, we would have to remain in that tier for 21 days. So in terms of if there would be an advancement, so that's the part I'm not quite clear yet, and I'm looking to get a little bit more clear on this, is if we all as a community became aware of it, not this Tuesday that we're about to approach, but the following Tuesday, which would be the 2 weeks. Okay. I believe there's a delay. I think it's a couple of day delay before it all goes into effect, but I'm not 100% sure yet. This is the piece I haven't quite understood yet. But, you know, not because, and you spoke to the fluidity of this earlier, this is why I think webinars like this are really good, because it's really good to familiarize yourself with what the modifications will be in all of the tiers, right? Or at least the ones that are to the right or to the left of you from the one you're currently in, because it is going to be an evolving fluid situation, and it does require a little bit of movement on the dime. I can't think of a better way to say that, right? You have to move, you have to be able to modify, as we've all had to modify throughout the entire pandemic. But I do believe that there will be some sort of a little bit of a lag. Again, from our perspective, our goal is to help provide clarity as much as possible to businesses, not looking to like trip anybody up. It's really very much more about trying to help businesses understand what modifications are required for the in the current time. But again, if we continue to engage in those mitigation measures we've been speaking about since the very beginning, we're really hopeful that we could, particularly in the 2 metrics that we're being evaluated on regularly, make progress towards those and move towards the less restrictive tiers in terms of more businesses being able to reopen.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll continue to look throughout this webinar to see if we ever got clarification on that. But I can speak in general to the fact that where you are, you're always going to be there for at least a little bit of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Kathy.
I'm going to go ahead and screen share again. Can you hear me? And then I'm going to, in the chat box right now, I'm going to post the link. So let me show you the table. So can everybody see that? All right. So again, this goes back to the color coding system of the different tiers. Currently, we're in tier 2. So you can see that there are the various industry sectors here. And what's nice is this will help you see where you might be going, where you've been, kind of to the left, to the right, and what the changes will be. We've got the hair salons and barber shops that are currently in Calaveras today, open indoors with modifications, which indicates going to the guidance for that particular industry. We've got retail that's open indoors with a maximum of 50% capacity. And it's got shopping centers, personal care services. So these are things like nail salons, body waxing, I believe. We've got places of worship, movie theaters, hotel and lodging, which is open with modifications. And it's a little bit different if there is a fitness center there. We've got our gyms and fitness centers, which I've received a few calls on this. Restaurants, a lot of calls on this. Again, our bars, breweries, and distilleries where no meals provided are still closed. And we've got, so this is just a really nice thing. Like I said, it's 5 pages. It's really easy to understand. And you can have a quick glance at where you are and what you need to be doing. And there's just one more thing I want to share. Make sure I can find it quickly. Oh, I guess I'm not quickly enough. I can't find it. I'll find it in a little bit.
Okay. Well, while you're looking for that, Lisa, I want to hop over to you. So, so let's spotlight on environmental health for a little bit and share with us where you guys fall in this process.
So the Environmental Health Department oversees many different programs. Kristen and Kathy touched on quite a few of them. We oversee the food facility program, which is our consumer protection. That includes food facilities such as mobile food trucks, brick associated facilities such as pizza parlors, your family restaurant types of facilities. It covers just about everything. But not only that, we also have oversight over the recreational facilities, which include swimming pools, spas, and those types of facilities. In addition to that, we also oversee farmers markets. We have our local farmers market here, which I attended last night and got a really pretty plant, so that was kind of fun. But we oversee a variety of different programs. Our current environmental health department oversees 16 different types of programs, and the food and recreational health are only a few of the ones that we have authority to view or to have authority over. Put it simply that way. But what I wanted to touch upon is I wanted to get some messaging out to our community, and especially to our business operators and owners, is that our environmental health staff are here to assist our businesses. When we are out conducting inspections at food facilities or any of our other related facilities, swimming pools, so forth, we want our operators to know that we're there to assist them, not so much there to bring down the heavy regulator aspect of our authority. Even though we do have that, we've always communicated and we have a reputation that we want to educate more than anything else. And because this helps our community, you know, it gives us a real close relationship and a collaborative working relationship with our community and our business operators and owners. And that's what we want to push, definitely. I do want to know and let everybody here know that we will start conducting food inspections after September 30th. I spoke with very many of our other jurisdictions throughout California, which include 57, and they have started conducting food inspections. And one of the reasons is because as part of the permitting process, our business operators and owners pay a fee to operate annually. Part of that fee incorporates a one-time inspection, which is just your typical routine inspection. We will have kind of a modified inspection process, which means that routinely we would probably be in the facilities for quite some time looking at all the different tenants, you know, on a food inspection report, but we'll be focusing mostly on major issues such as, you know, the food handling and or foods that are out of temperature, you know, things that we know that most of our operators are very aware of. We will not be focusing on anything COVID enforcement related. We're there to educate and provide that service. So when you see our staff out there, you know, over the next few months, please do not be in any way, you know, alarmed that we're there. We're there to help you. We're there to assist you with any questions you might have. And if you ever at any time have any questions, please feel free to contact me directly. And my phone number is the number, I call it the bat phone, 209-754-6744.
Awesome.
Morgan, I did want to, I actually found the answer to your question to verify what I thought I knew.
Yay.
Yeah, but, and I was right, which is not regular, it feels like lately.
Oh.
But counties will have 3 days to implement any sector change or closures unless extreme circumstances merit immediate action. And that happens when we move down a tier to a more restrictive tier. So there is that capacity. And I put in the chat box a very good link. I think it explains how the tiers, the types of criteria that were taken into consideration for the development of the tiers in terms of what activities were considered more or higher or lower risk. That's all in there, and as well as it goes into kind of the more specifics about the 21 days, 3 days, 2 weeks. It's got all of that kind of lined out. So do take a look at it. You can link there from the website. It's on the main website too that we all started from, the Blueprint for a Safer Economy. But that answers a lot of really specific good questions if anybody is curious for more information.
I am not seeing many questions or any questions right now. And if you're like me, it's because it's kind of a fire hose to the face right now. There's just a lot changing. And I know based on all of these ladies, I'm sure it's like me, we're getting lots of phone calls. And so we are hearing them. And we'll roll up our sleeves and help you figure out as much as we can. And truly, I think if we can express anything, it's that we're here, and the county representatives that you see below to the side of you or in front of you are absolutely here to help make the process easier. And so if there are questions that if you are watching this in a video after the webinar, after the recording, please feel free to put them in the question box. And we are forward moving. We are trying to continue to move forward. And it's actually pretty interesting, in case you haven't seen in social media today, some of our leadership in Angels Camp, although they can't be present for the call today, posted actual documentation recorded from the 1918 Spanish influenza for Calaveras County. actually posting the requirement for wearing masks, removing pool tables and card tables from the local pubs, and all kinds of regulation there. And so, I mean, a little over 100 years later, and we're encountering something very similar. So history is repeating itself a little bit here. And we all know this. We've obviously been impacted by it for the past 6 months, but just wanted to make sure that you all know that this is not the beginning. So check out that Angels Camp post. So Lenny has a question here and asking, I'd like to know about wedding venues. Are we only allowed to do wedding ceremonies?
So I could take that one. We are still under a stay-at-home order statewide. And so what that basically means is that we still have the restrictions on gatherings for non-household members gathering together in capacity. That still remains in effect. And I'll put the link to that Q&A where that speaks to that a little bit more specifically. So receptions is our gatherings, right? That's still something that's not currently allowed in the current framework. That being said, cultural ceremonies guidance covers wedding ceremonies, and there is specifics on that. And while we're talking, I'm going to also go try to link that exactly what Kathy was just saying in terms of what the indoors can look like, because I do know in Blueprint for a safer economy, I believe you could do indoor now under the red tier. So just hold on one second.
If you want, I can pull it up.
Yeah, we can let me find cultural. There we go, cultural ceremonies. So wedding ceremonies are meant to be encapsulated in this part of the guidance. And so it says cultural ceremonies can open indoors with modifications, max 25% capacity or 100 people, whichever is fewer. And then it's got a link to the specific industry guidance. So that's for the ceremony itself. The restrictions on gatherings from non-household members still remain in effect. And as I said, I will go find that while we're talking.
I do have another question that I'd like to pose for you guys. And that is, with all of the information we have, obviously the point of having this webinar is to try and make things simpler for our business community and understanding how they're supposed to keep their business going or how they're supposed to operate their business. Where is the best place to go to get updated information? Because what I'm hearing from your perspectives is that really getting tied into what the current regulations are, because it's so fluid, it's important to constantly have your thumbprint on whatever is going on. So what are some of the best locations that we can go to? Where's the first place we should go?
My website.
So Calaveras has a COVID-19 website, and that's probably the best information, best starting point for a couple of reasons. One, it has local information, like Kathy was just giving a shout out to, about local resources and connections to things that we're all the panelists are heavily involved in, as well as greater community efforts. So that's a good starting point, because on there you can also link to the state's websites, which Calaveras does not have. Some local jurisdictions all local jurisdictions have the ability to be more restrictive than the state standards, but not less restrictive. So Calaveras County has public health is continuing to follow along the lines of the state websites. We do not have additional restrictions above and beyond what is currently in existence for the entire state. So that's the main website. Morgan's pulled it up and screen shared. In it, there's a blueprint for a safer economy at the top. That can take you to all the stuff we've been talking about today. And then you find, again, to the right, the more local resources if that's of interest.
Out of curiosity, Kristen, is there anyone, are there any counties actually employing stricter regulations than they are required to?
Yes, I believe the Bay Area counties and I believe Los Angeles are still continuing to have local health orders that are more restrictive. They're also, in a fluid situation. So I know that was definitely the case at the beginning, and I believe it's still very much the case right now for many of them. But you aren't seeing that more from like the counties like Tuolumne or us or Amador and such. We all, many of us are following along with the state guidelines.
Okay.
One thing I want to share on the county's website is this resource tab here. I mean, there's great information on here, but the resources, one specifically for the business community, and this one gets updated fairly quickly. In fact, I think I just updated it on Monday. So it talks about guidance for new businesses, talks about what we talked about, but there's also a link down here, the Small Business Resource Guide. So a lot of our businesses have been reaching out to me about needing resources, funding, wanting to know about what opportunities are out there for them. And this is a really great guide. Again, we put it on together with Public Health and with City of Angels. Talks about things like the Paycheck Protection Program loan forgiveness, small business debt relief. There are idle loans still going on, so those are the economic injury disaster loans. And everything has hot links here, so you can like get right to the application right away. There's tax benefits, there's state assistance, there's funding programs, some of which might be forgivable loans. Hopefully the county will be in that tier sometime soon. We did apply for some loans or grants to provide loans to businesses, hopefully at some point forgivable. But again, great information here, counseling, training, and of course, our Chamber of Commerce, who is amazing at working with our business community, as all of us are. We are very business friendly.
Great. If we don't have any other questions, I don't want to waste your time, and I'll tell you straight up, if you're attending this, if we transition to a different color at some point here, then we will be having another roundtable. And the goal would be to help you with that transitional process. So please stay tuned. If you hear that we're going to be changing colors, that means we're going to be having another roundtable. So keep your ears open for that. Ladies, do you have anything else to part with?
I just want to say that, again, we want to reiterate that we're all here, to provide a service to our community. We are very humble public servants, and I know that's something that it's not heard too often, but I know that we all feel that way, and that's definitely something that we want to communicate to our community, is that we're here for you, and we'll get through this together. I know that's probably like a status quo thing to say right now, but we do truly mean that. We are truly here for you. We want to definitely promote your well-being and support you.
Thanks, Lisa.
You bet.
One more thing. Do we want to talk about PPE? So not PPP, but PPE.
Yeah, the ongoing conversation, if you are looking for PPE, we do still have state issued on behalf of Health and Human Services PPE that can get you through a period until you receive orders that you have. So currently in-house, we have at the chamber face coverings, and we have disposable face coverings, and we have gloves. And we also do have some other donated items from other entities, including hand sanitizer and a variety of different kinds of face coverings, actually. So anyway, please reach out to us at the chamber. You can go to calaveras.org in order to get our contact info, or if you have pen and paper in front of you, it's 754-5400, and we will get you connected with free PPE. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for attending. If you've joined us live, thank you so much. And if you're watching this later, great. Thanks for tuning in. And please know that we intend to continue to provide as much information and to support you in your business as we can. Ladies, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend, everybody.